actually. So if I can have your attention. So yeah, so this is the first of a new series on meditation night, and we're calling it The Way to Full Potential. And what it's actually doing is following the logic of Maitreya Bandhu's book, The Journey and the Guide. Maitreya Bandhu is a teacher at the London Buddhist Centre. So we are running a course on the journey and the guide. Many of you are already signed up for it, but there may be some people who are coming along this evening who haven't signed up for the course, and you might be interested in doing that. What the course does is it takes you step by step along the path to enlightenment, no less. Where enlightenment is really your full potential as a human being. So just in case you think I'm enlightened, I have to say I'm not. And I certainly don't think I'm enlightened either. But I do believe that enlightenment is possible. And actually, when I think of it in terms of achieving my full potential, then that becomes something I can imagine and something that I can sort of work towards. And that's very much what this series is going to be about, exploring how we can prepare ourselves for entering into our full potential as human beings. And tonight, I'll be particularly talking about how we start out on this path. And I'll be referring to the practice called the mindfulness of breathing. So, yes, the first stage in this path to full potential the journey begins with integration. And integration begins with mindfulness, the cultivation of mindfulness. So before I say anything about integration, I thought I'd better just mention a couple of things about mindfulness. What is mindfulness? It's a word, isn't it, that is used a great deal nowadays. It's a go-to sort of concept. And that kind of secular mindfulness is definitely part of what I'm talking about. But what we're going to be exploring is mindfulness specifically as it comes down through the teachings of the Buddha. And mindfulness is, as I'm sure many of you know, it's a fully embodied presence, isn't it? It's an awareness of yourself in the present moment. And in a way, that sounds quite simple. Yeah, it's quite, we can all sort of notice ourselves sitting here and, take steps to be more aware and embodied and present. And it's also actually surprisingly difficult to do and maintain. So that's why we need, in a way, to train ourselves to become more mindful through meditation, and to really reflect on what awareness is and brings. So awareness is this quality of knowing, isn't it? And it has potential for revolutionary change. Awareness can be revolutionary. And it's also very much implicated in love and compassion. And Samudra Ghosha will be talking about that next week. And combined with embodiment, when we are mindful, aware of our bodily experience, our embodied experience, then we're really present and we're really alive. And the more we cultivate that, the more we integrate this kind of mindfulness, awareness, and presence into our experience, the more we're going to experience states of energized calm. So that's definitely one of the outcomes of practicing the mindfulness of breathing, is that you'll enter into a state of energized calm. Many of you will already have experienced that. And in a way, this energized calm, it's not just a really pleasant place to be. It's actually quite magical. It has magical potential, because when we're in this state of energized calm, then we are ready to change, we're ready to grow, we're ready to sort of integrate. And integration means actually just being more aware of more of yourself. And the more aware you are of yourself, the more that, or the energy, or the potential of yourself is available to you. So quite simply, that's why we practice meditation. That's why we practice the mindfulness of breathing. So we start to meditate. We embark on this journey, a voyage of discovery. So it's important to sort of meditate as often as you can every day. And another important aspect of mindfulness is kind of knowing where you want to go, or knowing what's important to you, knowing what your sense of purpose is. So that is very important quality to develop. And that's where it can be very, very helpful to sign up for a course where you have an opportunity to share your experience with others on a sort of regular, track your progress, observe the progress of others, and gain sort of inspiration for your own practice that way. We make progress, we become more integrated when we notice what it is that's getting in the way of our regular meditation practice. When we notice what it is that's taking us away from this embodied, mindful, sort of purposeful awareness. What is it that kind of keeps sidetracking us, or getting in the way? And I think we all experience, I know that I do, I have been recently experiencing real kind of challenge, a real challenge to my practice, actually. During lockdown, during the period of lockdown, I had this fabulous stillness. You know, I could meditate every morning in the same place at the same time, nothing to disturb it. And then we started these morning meditations twice a week, and that sort of really fed this wonderful momentum. And then we sort of somehow got to the end of lockdown, and the possibility of moving arose, and I went to visit my mum and I went to visit a friend of mine, and suddenly it just felt as if everything was falling apart in my practice, and felt like I was back to zero almost. Fascinating, isn't it? I mean, I've been meditating for 15 years, and so I definitely feel like I've made progress, but perhaps it can be a little bit misleading to think of it as a journey that starts at A and goes through B to C, and then you get to the end. It's not really like that. Precisely because we have these good intentions, we set up a practice, and life just comes in and pushes and pulls, and we get distracted, we get pulled away by all sorts of competing claims. Another way of thinking about a meditation practice, another analogy that I really like is the analogy of the necklace, where every time you sit down to meditate, you're adding sort of a pearl to the necklace, or a jewel. Let's think of it as a jewel. In a way, mindfulness of breathing with its fourfold structure is a bit like a crystalline form. And each time you sit down, you're just adding another pearl or another jewel to the necklace. And each meditation in itself is kind of perfectly formed. It is full of meaning and importance, but actually it's part of a much bigger whole, and that whole doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's completely circular. So you're following a thread, but there isn't really a beginning or an end. But the sum of the parts definitely add up to a larger whole. And in a way, that is also quite a strong metaphor for enlightenment. So each meditation exists as part of a much bigger process. And each time we sit down to meditate, we quite simply notice what is getting in the way. Bodily sensations, energies, and thoughts all sort of potentially can distract us. We're pulled and pushed, aren't we? We grasp onto experience that is pleasant, and we push away experience that is unpleasant. That is, in a way, the fundamental human kind of activity. And that is what keeps us, in a way, on the surface of life, just skidding and skating around, running after pleasure and running away from pain. And quite simply, in the mindfulness of breathing, you probably know this, but anyway, I'm telling you again. In the mindfulness of breathing, what we're doing is we're letting go of that. We're letting go of clinging to pleasure and pushing away pain. We're quite simply letting go of that. We're deciding for the period of the meditation to occupy a spacious gap between clinging and pushing away. And that spacious gap, we can say the breath kind of provides us with this spacious gap. So we focus on the breath, and we keep coming back to the breath, and we notice what's pulling us away, and we just let it go without clinging to it. And in that way, over time, using the necklace analogy, we can become more and more intimate with ourselves. We start to know ourselves. We start to see what is pulling us around and what we can usefully let go of. And this is where, again, where the course comes in really handy, because you get the opportunity to reflect on that as part of the course and identify ways of working with it. But we'll also be exploring that in the guided sit that's coming up in a few minutes. So, that spacious gap, that is the state of energized calm that I was talking about earlier. And when we arrive at that state of energized calm, it's as if we break the surface and we drop more deeply down into our experience. It's like you crack open the shell of the egg and you get to the juicy stuff inside. So not doing that means that we are just like, a ball in a pinball machine, or as a friend of mine was saying the other day, going from one car crash to the next in life, which I definitely used to do. I used to be, I think, slightly addicted to drama, actually. Because to be in a state of crisis is fabulously sort of, it just takes up all your energy, doesn't it? You don't have to think. To be in this state of energized calm is actually far more challenging, and it is the road to integration. I hope I'm explaining that. It's sort of somehow that, yes, when we're in this state of energized calm in meditation, it's one of the things that we have cracked open is we no longer have such a polarity between mind and body. There's no longer that same polarity between mind and body. We're much more aware that actually where the mind ends and the body begins is indeterminable. In fact, they are not separate. Although in life, in daily life, we tend to completely assume that they are. That I'm a little mind running around in this body, and this body needs feeding, and that's not the same thing as my mind. But actually, they are profoundly interconnected. And when we're aware of that, then again, we are open to change and growth and transformation. So that's the beginning of the journey. We practice the mindfulness of breathing to achieve this state of energized calm. And at the same time, I would really encourage you to cultivate mindfulness in other areas of your life. Just notice, are there times when you're mindful, and are there times when you're just totally in autopilot? These are things that we're going to be exploring on the course. So we'll start really looking at that on Saturday. So now I'm going to lead us through a period of the mindfulness of breathing. So do find yourself a seat, wiggling them a little bit, and then just releasing and relaxing. There's the contact with the ground, with other parts of the body, sensations of temperature. And then there's awareness of the flesh and bone of the toes, of the feet, toes, feet. Can you sense the flesh and the bones, the weight of the bones, hardness? Perhaps there's a bit of tingling, maybe suggestion of pulsing. And then just taking your attention up through the ankles. Just noticing your right ankle and your left ankle. Paying more attention to the physicality rather than any images that might be arising in your mind. Just feeling the weight of the ankle. And noticing how the shin, the bones of the leg, the lower leg, rise up out of the ankle. Those bones are surrounded by muscles and flesh, and the skin, contact, and the thighs and the knees. Very, very beneficial to cultivate a sort of curiosity about this. Curiosity about how it feels to have a body. This whole lower half of the body, from the pelvis down, that provides you with a stable basis for the meditation. Noticing the contact of your sitting bones with the cushion. And then just noticing the spine rising up out of the pelvis. It has a tendency to rise up. It has a spring-like structure. There's a curve at the base of the spine. Seeing if you can notice that, noticing the connection between the spine and the pelvis. The pelvis can rock and the spine can undulate. Just noticing that. Just letting the shoulders drop, the shoulder blades drop down, and the elbows hanging down like pendulums. Hands at rest. And softening, just softening. So at any time in the meditation, you can bring yourself back by just noticing your embodied presence. Detecting where there may be some tension arising. Sort And noticing how just taking your attention there can help to soften it, release it, and relax it. So even in quite small ways, awareness brings about change. And not forgetting to loosen and lengthen the back of your neck so that your chin tucks underneath. Crown of your head travels towards the ceiling. Just relaxing and softening the face. Mindfulness of breathing. So in the first stage, noticing the end of the out breath. I think it can be really helpful to just think of, imagine yourself coming home to the body with the out breath. It's almost like there is a sensation of landing in the body. Letting the landing be soft. Just letting as the breath flows out. It's as if it flows through every part of the body into the ground, through the sitting bones, through the thigh bones, down into the ground. Breath passing through the fingers, and when you're ready, taking your attention to the beginning of the in-breath, connecting with that moment where the breath turns around and comes back into the chest, into the heart, into the lungs. So this in-breath arises on the basis of the soft landing of the out-breath. Perhaps noticing the sensations of the blood traveling to every part of the body, energized by the oxygen. It's come into the lungs, breathed in, and as that oxygen transports to every cell in your body, it keeps you alive and ticking, full of sensation. Just noticing that. Connecting with the energy of the in-breath. Just quite simply holding that in your awareness. Letting go of tendency perhaps to anticipate. That's a good way of hanging in the gap. Just let the breath come when it's ready. Enjoy the spaciousness. So in the third stage, when we've achieved a certain steadiness and flow, we can let go of counting the breath, watching the breath. Sort of, as it were, look around us. Allow ourselves to be carried by the breath and be open to our environment, our situation. Opportunity for integration. Perhaps you can hear bird song or voices on the other side of the wall. Cars passing. Just letting those phenomena arise and fall in your experience without pulling you away from this soft, energized, spacious awareness of the breath and the body. And if you do get distracted, just noticing it coming back. Maybe touching stretching into the first and second stage until you become steady again. Soft, relaxed, spacious. Just gently breaking the surface of your experience, connecting with the juiciness. And in the fourth stage, taking your attention to the place in the body where the breath first enters. Cool spot around the nose. The edge of inside and outside the body. Just resting your attention on that point. And then just for the last minute or so of the practice, relaxing the effort, just coming back to the body, just sitting. Perhaps noticing the quality of the breath and the quality of your felt experience. If there is softness there, really appreciating that. And then, as I ring the bell, in your own time, coming out of the meditation, opening your eyes. So that's how the journey begins. By, yes, making sure that we open up a soft and spacious area in our experience. That's where the opportunities for change and growth arise. Nothing can be forced. Nothing can be sort of pushed in meditation. So to develop a feel for this softness and this energized calm, well, it's both pleasurable, but it's also extremely, beneficial. And in a way, it's the fundamentals of the practice. And as I say, it's quite good to notice when you're mindful in every day, or notice when you're not, what it's like not to be mindful. Create spaces for soft mindfulness during the day. That will feed into your meditation practice and vice versa. And yeah, I guarantee that interesting things will happen if you start doing that. There you go. I don't know if anybody's got a question that they want to ask. I think there's it's a slight flaw in the plan with this class, that you come out of meditation and then we ask you to start tapping away on a keyboard. But it would be lovely if anybody does have any questions or reflections that they'd like to share. All quiet in the chat box. That's okay. Well, there's a couple of minutes still, so if some...
It's all coming through now.
Oh, it's all coming through
Just
now.
give people a moment to keep
Yeah.
typing. Selena says, thank you so much. One of the best meditation tips I've had in a while. She can't make Saturday mornings, but she's looking forward to the rest of the series.
Oh yeah, good.
And Lizzie asks us, do you have any tips when my calm doesn't feel energized?
So yeah, I mean, that's classic sort of sloth and torpor, I suppose, isn't it? When the calm doesn't feel energized. Well, quite simply, I mean, in a way, that is what the second stage is about. Well, I actually think what might be helpful is to soften around the in-breath. Maybe just notice what is happening at and you don't have to change it. Just kind of take your attention to that second stage, the beginning of the in-breath, and become interested in how it is. Maybe there's some tension there that is kind of holding the energy at bay. I don't know if that makes sense. And cultivate a curiosity about the in-breath. That's what I would do in that case, in that situation. I don't know, Simudra or Liz, if you've got anything to say.
Sorry, I was distracted by something technical.
Oh.
I heard the question, but I didn't really hear the answer.
What?
But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, to energizing the breath. Wow. Yeah, that is what the second stage is about, isn't it? Paying more attention to the in-breath can be helpful. Bringing the awareness up in the body can be helpful.
Yes.
Even distracting yourself with something slightly more energetic than the sleepiness can temporarily be helpful.
Yeah, I think energy comes in a way. It's a bit like when you're sort of sitting at a mouse hole waiting for the mouse to come out. It doesn't. So in a way, that's contradicting what I'm saying, but it's sort of, it's there. Maybe you need to have confidence that it's there as well. Maybe that's something. There may be an emotional aspect to not having confidence that it's there. So some of the skills of the Metta Bhavana might come in handy at that point. Yeah.
I was just thinking, what is it about the spacious gap?
Spacious gap.
Because often when I go into meditation, I go, I enter some sort of like calm space,
Yeah.
but then I have an expectation that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So but I love the idea of the spacious gap of just kind of like with no expectation or no judgment, no whatever. It's just like, well, this is how it is.
Yeah.
But it's kind of quite subtle, isn't it? That quality of how you just how you go into a spacious gap or how you go in with. I don't know what the difference is, but it feels different anyway.
Well, I think there's something in that, isn't there? I think so. In meditation, we talk about presence. But I didn't say that much about the present tense. But maybe that is part of it, is that we have a tendency to anticipate and second guess. So that's where this spacious gap comes in really handy, because letting go of anticipation, even very subtle anticipation of the in-breath, is really, really helpful in meditation, because we're trying to sort of let go, if you like, of time and space, or time. In a way, we're trying to get really to the present moment that isn't looking to the future or looking to it's just hanging there in the gap. And that then, I think, opens things up, softens things. Anything else?
That's it at the moment.
Well, there were two really interesting questions. Thanks very much. So I'll just mention again that we've got the course starting on Saturday. It starts at 9:15 on Saturday and it finishes at 11. Is that right? Yeah, 11. There's home groups. There's exercises, homework. So you'll get to sort of do practices at home, reflect on them, and then talk about them as part of the course. And we'll be looking much more deeply at some of these topics in a way that we can't quite do on this YouTube event. But we will be following the logic of the course over the next 8 weeks. So if you like, if you can't come on the Saturday, but still you'd like to follow a bit more deeply, you could even get hold of the book and follow the book. And if you've got questions, you can always put them into the chat box when you come on meditation night. And the other thing we've got on the course is a Slack lounge. So if you don't know what a Slack lounge is, I don't think I can tell you. But it's a virtual lounge where you can post ideas and where you can sort of connect with people on the course. And it's quite good fun. And you'll be part of that if you join the course. So I'm sure Liz has put the link.
Sorry.
Oh, no, she hasn't yet. Oh,
I was daydreaming about Slack.
And then the only other thing that I would like to say is that we offer these classes, this meditation night, we offer it completely for free. And we're very happy to do that. And in fact, we haven't even charged for the Journey and the Guide course. You don't have to pay to sign up for the course. We want it to be free. We want it to go out as far as possible. So if you've enjoyed this class tonight, share it with your friends or whatever, or tell people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We think that what we've got is something really, really helpful for people, particularly in these very uncertain times. The ability to relax and be spacious is absolutely fundamental to surviving a crisis. And this is really basically what we've got on offer. So we're offering it for free, and we want it to be rolled out as far as possible. But it does, of course, cost us money to do it. We've invested in equipment, and we've actually got a building still to look after. So we really do benefit enormously from donations to help us keep this thing going. So if you are able to make a donation this evening, that would be much appreciated. We say, we suggest between £5 and £10 for the class. And if you're a regular attender and you'd like to take out a standing order, that would be absolutely brilliant for us, because it enables us to sort of plan our finances when we know we've got money coming in regularly. So, I'm sure Liz has put up the link for the donation page.
Now, yes.
Yeah. Thanks for coming this evening. I really hope you enjoyed it. Do come next week. Samudra Ghosha will be exploring integration through kindness next week. And I'll be here and Liz will be here, and we look forward to, sort of in a funny kind of a way, seeing you. That's it. Good night.